That's why this whole thing just plain doesn't work. It's backwards from the start. If we were to apply the same logic to this, Gmail would have to put a checkbox on all the email that we send to say, yes, this is going to a kid, to let them know that the person on the other side of my content that I'm writing here is a kid. They shouldn't drop any ads. They shouldn't collect any cookies. They shouldn't put those little ads on the top of their email box. This just doesn't make sense. Hey fellow YouTube creators, my name is Nick. I'm a small business owner and recently started a channel of my own. Found out quickly how much I love taking video and sharing it with the world. But when this whole COPPA thing came up, I got kind of scared, to be honest with you, and I know there are a lot of creators out there that are scared about this too. And I think there's a solution that we can come up with together, you, me, YouTube, and the FTC, to make this work. So I thought I'd bust out my whiteboard so I can show you what I'm thinking, all right? So you probably know what COPPA is all about, and if you don't, I thought I would give you just a high-level overview of what COPPA is, all right? So COPPA means Children's Online Privacy and Protection Act. So the big thing, kind of the whole generalization of this, is this one right here, privacy. And really what happened is that Google and YouTube got caught collecting information from kids. Okay, that's basically the issue here. It's not email information, it's not names or anything. It just comes down to cookie information. And this cookie stuff, if you know anything about cookies, essentially all it is websites will drop a cookie on your computer and they can use that cookie to follow you throughout any assets they own, any of their website, and then any website that they have their tracking pixel on. So the problem with this whole thing is that YouTube was dropping cookies on a kid, and this thing right here, that's a fidget spinner, just in case you didn't know, right? So they're dropping cookies on these kids, trying to figure out where these kids are going to show them ads that maybe they would click on, right? So it's part of their business model. And the whole thing blew up when the FTC found out that Google knew these kids were there. Google could always say before, they could say, well, I don't really know if that content is for kids, and we have really no way of knowing if a kid is there watching it. But at some point, Google knew. They did something that kind of showed their hand and says, yep, we know the kids are here, we're still dropping cookies on them, we're breaking the law, right? So they got in trouble. They got sued, they got investigated, they got fined $170 million, okay? Now this $170 million to you and I sounds like a lot of money, but I looked it up, okay? In 2017, Google brought in a revenue of $110 billion. That's billion dollars, okay? So I tried to run the numbers. I figured out that 110 billion is about 9.233 billion per month, and essentially works out to be $300 million a day. So Google, YouTube, that company earns $300 million per day. So this $170 million, while it sounds like a lot of money to you and I, it's about a half a day's work for them, all right? So they're not really struggling to make it. They'll be just fine. Now really what happened next, what I thought was a knee-jerk reaction on YouTube. They went ahead and started doing all this crazy stuff to try to get rid of the problem that they have. Like saying, hey creators, is your content for kids? They're really wanting to put the blame on us and say, hey, let us know if your stuff is for kids, because then we can do something different. And what they told us that they would do is they would essentially get rid of ads, they would get rid of comments. They're just gonna drop the axe and just say, nope, we don't want to get in trouble anymore, so we're gonna get rid of all this stuff if you say your content is for kids. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you any kind of legal advice, but if you ask me, this was a terrible mistake for Google to make, simply because there are so many people on the YouTube platform that are like me, that are in between those that are making tons of money and those that are making no money. We just started out, we just maybe got our ads turned on, we're just making a little bit of money. To me, it's kind of a death trap to the whole YouTube community, because what you're gonna have is people that are right in the middle, who are probably 80%, maybe even more, of creators out there are simply gonna throw up their hands and say, you know what, I'm done. Because if they're laying this all on me and saying I have to mark my stuff as for kids, and if I do, then I won't be able to make any money, and if I don't, then I might get a fine. Yeah, I didn't mention that. FTC says they are going to fine anybody they find to not be compliant $40,000, all right? So to you and I, this isn't a half a day's work, right? This is a significant amount of money, and they're gonna fine us this for each video they see. So Google's essentially saying, hey, you gotta do this. And if you do, you're not going to have ads, you're not going to have comments. And if you don't, you can get fined $40,000, right? And to me, I think the people over at YouTube are pretty smart, so they probably could have figured this out on their own. But I thought I would just shoot this video anyway so I can tell you what I think would be a better solution and see what you think as well, all right? All right, so here's my solution. To me, it all boils down to the privacy like we were talking about before. In order to make this work, Google simply has to stop collecting information from kids. Now, I think they should keep the question to the creators, is this for kids? But instead of trying to freak them out about it, they should incentivize the for kids question to get creators excited about creating content for kids, because ads for kids are okay. The ads part of this whole thing is not illegal. Even the FTC says contextual ads are still okay.
With respect to these channels. Now, keep in mind that YouTube could still serve up contextual advertising, so not targeted ads, and there would be some revenue earned from contextual advertising. And so
contextual just essentially means it's in the context of the video. So for instance, if you're out there and you're creating a video about Legos, right, YouTube should incentivize you to market for kids, and maybe they can add a little bit more information that says, if this is for kids, tell me a little bit about the video. Maybe put a little description in here. Maybe make sure your tags include what you're doing so we have more context to the video, so we can show ads that are specifically tailored to this video, all right? So here's the thing. To me, this is better than behavior anyway, because you can have the creator specifically tell the algorithm what kind of targeted ads to be shown to these kids. Because, again, the ads are not the issue here. If you've ever seen a Saturday morning thing where all of the content inside that Saturday morning is geared for kids, you'll see all kinds of advertisements to those kids. And last time I checked, advertising to kids is like a billion dollar industry in America. It's not illegal. The only part of this whole thing is that Google was collecting information from these kids. The ads weren't even the issue. So to make this work, YouTube should incentivize people, creators, to mark their stuff for kids so that the ads that are being delivered to those kids are actually one that advertisers will want to get out there. Another reason why I think this is better than behavioral ads is because of this. A lot of times I let my child use my computer, and my computer is logged in under my Gmail account. And I'm going to get more into this Gmail account stuff in just a second. But if you know, as my child is watching a video on YouTube, that behavior is added to my account or that computer because those cookies were dropped, okay? So just imagine your child watching a kid's video, and on that video was an ad for like a buck knife or something because I maybe looked at a buck knife video the night before, right? So behavior, to me, doesn't work on this if a child is sharing my computer or my Gmail account. So to me, this is much better. Get contextual ads going for the kids so they can see ads related to them. All right, so now we're going to talk about comments, which I think is another knee-jerk reaction that they did. They just said, if you market for kids, we're going to turn your comments off. So when you go there, it says comments are disabled, right? So here's what I think they should do with this. For anything they mark for kids, comments should be disabled if they're not logged in. So if someone's coming straight in from YouTube, right from anywhere, start watching a for kids video, they can be shown those contextual ads, but the comments would be disabled. I also think they can show the thumbs up and thumbs down and show how many numbers there are, because you don't have to require anything from a child when they're watching the videos. They won't be able to click these thumbs up and down, but they can see them. What I think should happen to the comments is that they should show how many comments there are, like 100 comments, but then have it blurred out. So the person that's looking at this video would be able to see that there's some kind of community commenting going on, but they wouldn't be able to see the comments unless they logged in, okay? There'd be a button that says log in to view comments, all right? Because the whole thing with this is that if you log in, Google's system requires you to be 13 and over to be able to even get an account. So to me, once somebody logs in, they should be able to see the comments, be able to interact with the comments, because they have then told Google, YouTube, that they are over 13, and they should be able to interact with this video just like anybody else should. And then once they're logged in, the privacy doesn't matter. They can drop cookies, they can interact, they can show end screens and all that stuff. And to me, end screens should be able to be shown anyway because you can just put an end screen of the next video. You could still help this creator out, help them to have the viewer consume their content by doing their end screens, maybe change them up a little bit, because I would think the only end screen that you couldn't show, or the only cards you couldn't show, are ones that are depending on the behavior. If you put in a card that points to just another one of their videos, maybe you can turn it off if it's not a for kids video. Google's very smart. YouTube's very smart. They can figure this out, right? All right, so now you're probably asking, what about those kids? What about the liars that went in, created an account in Google, and said they were actually over 13? I'm a little bit upset about this question here because what YouTube is asking of us as creators is to mark our stuff as for kids so we can essentially tell YouTube that, hey, this person who's watching is a kid, even though that person may not be a kid, right? So if you're asking me what Google should do about people who lie and sign up for an account, that's not me. I don't work for Google, and that's not for any creator to try to figure out. Because just think about it like this. If that kid signed up with a Google account, that means they also have a Gmail account. So if FTC is freaking out about that child's information, that child's privacy when viewing a video, just imagine the amount of privacy that that kid is giving up inside the Gmail account. And Google, I think you know what I'm talking about here. Google has access to all kinds of information in that Gmail account. So if a kid is able to sign up with a Gmail account, use that Gmail account to email anybody in the world, I think we have a bigger problem than just having videos being shown to childs. Because the whole thing just doesn't make sense to me, because if we were to apply the same logic to this, to try to fix this Gmail account issue, Gmail would have to put a checkbox on all the email that we send to say, yes, this is going to a kid, to let them know that the person on the other side of my content that I'm writing here is a kid, so they shouldn't show any kind of stuff to them. They shouldn't drop any ads. They shouldn't collect any cookies. They shouldn't put those little ads on the top of their email box. This just doesn't make sense. That's why this whole thing just plain doesn't work. It's backwards from the start. Google needs to figure out on their own if the people who are signing up for their service is a kid under 13 or if they're not. So the people at Google and YouTube are super smart. What I think they should do, instead of using their algorithm to go out and find videos that creators made that may be for kids, they should use their algorithm to find kids that created accounts when they weren't supposed to. If they think a kid is just viewing all kinds of kid-related content, they should pop up a notification that says, hey, can you confirm that you're over 13, yes or no? Because it shouldn't be on creators that somebody came and lied about an account. All right, so let's recap my whole idea, all right? So us as creators, yes, let's mark them as kids if we make videos for kids. And I've been thinking about this too. What is a for kids video? There's a video that my little girl loves to watch. It's called Billy Goat's Gruff. She comes up to us and says, Dad, can we watch Billy Goat's Gruff before bedtime? I sit with her, we watch Billy Goat's Gruff. That is obviously for kids material. So if you're making that kind of material, market for kids. Now again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you any kind of legal advice. This is just my idea, okay? Now YouTube, this is where you come in. Incentivize people to market for kids. Give them the resources to mark their stuff, contextualize it, let you know what it is so you can show contextual ads like the FTC says you can. Blur the comments on those unidentified users that are viewing stuff for kids. So if my child was able to just end up in Billy Goat's Gruff, blur the comments so that she can't see it. She can't even make a comment unless she's logged in. It would be very hard for my 3-year-old to log in as my user, so this should be just fine. Ask to log in to verify that that person is over 13 so they can see the comments. Show the thumbs up and thumbs down and the cards that don't require info. Thumbs up, thumbs down don't need a cookie. You can see what they are. You won't be able to click them unless you log in. Now this one right here, just an idea that I got last night because I pulled up Amazon Prime Video and I was going to watch a Blue Bloods episode and they asked for a PIN code just so they can verify that the adult is watching. I saw that and I said, dude, this is what we can do, right? If this freaks you out, YouTube, because a kid might have it, ask the parent to set up a PIN code. And the parent can give you some kind of information that lets you know they are a parent. And you can figure that out because you guys have $117 billion in the bank, right? So you have the resources to figure this out. To me, this is pretty easy, right? I think if you were to implement something like this, you could help a lot of creators and keep the people that are like me who are on the fence about even quitting YouTube to say, you know what, I could be incentivized to make more content, but I know exactly what's going to happen for people that come to see it off of YouTube. All right, so now I want to talk to us creators. What should we do right now to protect us from stuff like this in the future? And before I get into this, if you could please do me a favor, just head down to the thumbs up. If this resonates with you, if you thought this was a good idea, please hit the thumbs up for me right now. Even if you thought it was a dumb idea, hit the thumbs up anyway and just drop me a message down below. Let's work together to try to figure this out. And if there are any lawyers watching this, and you think, hey, something of what Nick said is just not right, can you please drop a message in the box below? And do us all a favor, if you would. Put like right at the front, lawyer, and then, you know, what you're gonna say. Because I think as we're going through these comments, we can see what lawyers say about this specific stuff. Like specifically, what happens if a kid lies and signs up with Google and, you know, that person says they're over 13 when they're not? What kind of ramifications? Will Google still be held liable for stuff like that? I think if we can get a communication going on this, we can come up with something that's really, really cool and keep the whole platform moving forward. All right, so here's what I think we should do as creators. Now remember, I'm not a lawyer. I can't give any legal advice, so please just do this at your own risk. But this is just my idea. Okay, so for those people who are creating kids content like YouTube and them guys are telling you, like Billy Goat Scruff, if you're creating that kind of content, send this video over to YouTube with your comments and ideas. Say, YouTube, please watch this guy right here, Nick. He's got a good idea, and if you can do this X, Y, Z, and insert your ideas in there as well, send it over to them to let them know that you still want to create content for their platform, but you would like to be able to work together to find a beneficial outcome. Now for everyone else, I'm talking those in between, those that think they have some kids content, those that don't really know, start driving traffic to your website. The most important reason why is that you own that online asset. That is your asset. You can put any kind of content that you want on your website, and YouTube, Google cannot shut you down. That is your way to protect yourself. Put a link to your website right at the top. Let your people know that, number one, you have a website, number two, that you're going to interact with them on your website, and number three, that they can interact with you in another way, like with email marketing, so that you can get those notifications out there. And if you're a creator right now and you don't have a website, we can help you. I created Insty back in 2013, a web hosting company that specialized in helping small businesses have all of the tools that they need to reach more people and make more money through their website. The way that we do this is we give them a great website that looks great, that runs really well, that gets Google's attention for high search engine rankings, but then we also include all the needed marketing tools like landing page makers, membership site makers, e-commerce makers, email marketing. It's everything a small business needs. And back in August of this year, I had a revelation as I was working with different YouTube creators in a Facebook group. There were a lot of creators out there that had questions and didn't understand how to set up a simple website for their channel. And I decided that I would create what I called an Insty creators account that would specialize in giving creators an amazing website that had the perfect mix of content and marketing so they can make more money with their site and help their brand grow even faster. And that was back in August, before this whole thing even happened with the fine in YouTube and 170 million and all of that. And just recently I knew that this was going to come down and hit creators hard, so we created what we call Insty COPPA kits, where these accounts are specialized to help you get a website in like less than 5 minutes. And these websites help you actually protect yourself from the COPPA rules, because here's the thing, right? If you set up a website and a child goes to your website and opts into like email marketing or looks at some of your Amazon ads, things like that, if they click on that, you can actually get in trouble because you would be dropping cookies on your website to that child. So we created these COPPA kits that have special age requirements that if any any child was to come in, they would have to verify their date to cover you in COPPA, but then after they verify the date, they can then surf through your whole website. They can subscribe to your email list so that you can talk with them anytime. They can go and check out your recommendations page and click on any of your Amazon links so you can start getting commissions from your website. That's the kind of stuff that we thought about. We put these together and we're making them available to you too. I wanted to make them as cheap as I possibly could, so any creator who does not have a website that wants to protect themselves from this in the future would be able to jump in, get their COPPA kit, get a website set up, and then start placing your link on all of your social media profiles today so your traffic can get to know you even more. We built all the social platforms into these websites so that when your traffic comes across, they can still consume all of your content from right inside your website the way you want to share it with them. So if you want to take them through a journey of videos, you can do that right from your website. If you want to create content that has more information than just that little description inside the video, like a blog post, you can do that. You can collaborate with them using comments. You can share your favorites and recommendations. But more than anything, I want you to know, like I said in the beginning, I run a small business. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I enjoy working with each and every one of our customers. And just like you've seen today, when there's a problem that comes up, I jump in and try to figure out how we can solve it, how I can help you, how we can work together to get this figured out. And if you know any of our customers, this is how we treat each and every one of them. So just know, if you become an Insty customer, if you get a website with us and you ever have an issue at all, we're gonna work with you. And if anything like this ever comes up on a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram type of a platform, we're going to work together to make sure that your brand stays where it's at and actually can grow through any changes. Because we don't really know what YouTube's going to do next year. We don't know what Google's going to do next year. But if you have your own website, you can protect yourself. And if you have a means to communicate with people other than through YouTube notifications, you can keep your brand growing and keep your brand alive. So I hope this video helped in some way. I hope this maybe got some creative juices flowing in you. Please share this video with YouTube. Put your comments in it as well. Let them know that you really want to work with them, that you want to continue creating content on their platform, but you think they could do a little bit more to help with this whole situation. They don't need to knee-jerk this thing through. If they just think about it, get their smart people really engaged and try to figure this out. Together we can all make this work, and we can actually make this whole thing better. If you enjoyed this video, please thumbs up. If you have any questions or any ideas or something, drop a comment below. If you have any question about our COPPA kits or about our websites or our web hosting plans or anything like that, drop them down below. I'll be sure to answer them as best I can. I thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Look forward to talking with you and looking forward to getting this whole thing figured out so we can get back to putting a camera in our hand and getting the content out to the world.